Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another transmission from Hoth, where we'll be discussing the newest episode of The Mandalorian. I'm Echo 2, and with me is...
I'm Echo 5.
Remember that this Tuesday on the 17th, the holiday special will be released. We're excited to check that out. It's done by Lego. We discussed it a little bit last week, but we are excited to check this new adventure out. And
a lot better than the original.
Absolutely. And for those that are collectors of toys, there's going to be some new Black Series. Some of the cool ones that I've been seeing that I'm definitely going to pick up is the Saz Ventress, Moff Gideon, and a few of the Bad Batch characters. And there's actually a really cool Mandalorian helmet
one for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a Mandalorian helmet, a new Black Series Mandalorian helmet that I'm excited to pick up.
Nice.
If we're going to try and throw some links down below. We'll link one of the sites that I really like to go through. They do tons of pre-orders and they tend to get some really good stock. So a couple cool things from this episode before we get into like the real discussion. Battlefront 2 star Iden Versio, the actress Janina Gavankar, she made a special appearance in the show. Believe it or not, she controlled the second nostril of the Mon Calamari that was featured in the episode. So she got to do a little bit of the puppeteer work. Yeah, so she posted on Twitter about it.
I love how they're doing real things in this show. It's absolutely awesome.
Oh yeah,
the old school style puppeteering. It's great, man.
Absolutely. And this episode was also directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, the daughter of Ron Howard. So no wonder it was a good episode. He usually does a lot of good stuff, and not surprised that it passed into his line. All right, so this episode was probably by far one of my favorites that I've seen out of both seasons. I mean, the last episode was really cool, and then we kind of see his ship get completely demolished, and starts off right where it left off on the other one. Well, kind of where they left off, but they're kind of like tumbling through space, kind of barely keeping alive.
I love that opening shot, the one that's from the trailer, where he's flying over that planet right before he gets to Trask, and his ship's just kind of flashing and banging from all the fuses jacked up. It's really cool.
Yeah, like, and then just a bunch of pieces were just kind of falling off as he's flying through.
I actually noticed that the third time that I watched the second episode, when he's flying off, you just see crap falling off the ship. It's really funny. And then when he takes off, you'll see another piece flying in space.
Oh yeah, that was just comedy. And I'm not gonna lie, like,
you know what, Mark? It was actually the end of the third episode, because it was after the Mon Calamari fixed his ship. He was all pissed off, and he's flying off, and you see all this stuff falling off the ship. Oh, that was funny.
Yeah. And then they cut inside to the ship, and you just see they're all sleeping there, and then it's like, oh crap, waking up, and just freaking adorable, just seeing Baby Yoda sit there and wipe his eyes as he wakes up.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting to kind of see like his ship is like completely destroyed, and he's like, oh, all right, so we gotta go in for a landing. We're probably gonna have to do a manual entry if we don't get vaporized in the atmosphere. And then he pulls the frog lady. He's like, all right, take your hands. I need your hands over here because this needs to stay down. I need to do this stuff over here if we're going to survive. I thought it was kind of a cool start to the episode.
Yeah, it was nice. I love the Mon Calamari with a different type of voice when they first land, and he's just kind of watching them, and then they sort of land and they fall into the water.
Land.
Sort of land, not really land, but then they fall into the water, and then he just kind of shakes his head like, oh yeah.
I actually kind of really like that whole sequence, because you got them. It's like, Razor Crest, you're coming in hot. You need to slow down. I'm doing my best.
He's like,
I'm
I
doing my
know,
best.
I get it. Jeez.
And so they're coming down. They're crash landing within the end of the ship. And so this episode was a little bit different than I expected. I wasn't expecting it to go the way that it went.
Yeah.
I was expecting kind of like another side mission that was going to build up something for the story later. And
I
but
thought the big reveal of the Mandalorians that he meets later was going to happen like at the end of the episode. I
I
was
was
really
thinking
excited
that,
about that.
or maybe like another lead that would take him to another planet, and then
Yeah.
fourth episode we'd probably get that. Uh,
That's one thing I love about these seasons only having 8 episodes, because you get right into the thick of the story real quick.
oh, absolutely. And this episode was a lot shorter than the other two, but they definitely did a lot to really set up for the rest of the season.
I didn't notice that till the second time I watched it. It was like 35 minutes. The other ones were like
35 minutes,
52.
yeah.
They were
First
like
episode was
52
like
minutes.
52, second
Yeah.
episode was like 45, and then this one
Yeah.
dropped down to 35. So I'm hoping that they stay at least above 30 minutes. I don't want any more of the 20-minute episode drops because I'd be really disappointed because I want more.
Sure.
So it's kind of interesting. So he goes to the bar and uh, orders some soup. He's like, I've noticed every time he goes out to eat, he never eats, and it's because he doesn't want to take his mask off.
Yeah.
And Baby Yoda's sitting there playing with the food, and this little squid just jumps on his face, and Mando's just like, quit playing with your food.
Yeah. I love seeing the Quarren and the Mon Calamari together, because they're the species of Mon Calamari.
I just
Of
think it's funny
Mon
that
Cala.
two of the fish species are the fishermen.
Yeah, no, it was good.
I
Well,
just think that's comedy.
it was cool to see them together, because in the Clone Wars we see that they actually fought each other. They were on different sides. They're having a sort of like a civil war on the planet.
I mean,
It was
that's kind of what happens when the Empire takes over. You have a common enemy. You guys tend to team up,
sure.
even
Yeah,
though
no,
these Quarren weren't very
yeah.
nice.
No, it
Like,
was good. It was good to see them together. And I love the use of the real masks. I love the prosthetics, the puppet looking, or the rubber mask, the style of the originals. It just felt so real. I really appreciated it. It was awesome.
oh, absolutely. And yeah, no, like they really did really well with a lot of the costuming, especially when we get into the Bo-Katan and her crew, and even the
Oh
Imperials.
my
Like
gosh.
I really enjoy it. Not even just the costuming, but like just the whole set design. Like
I know.
they
I love
really
just seeing the
make it feel like you're
stormtroopers,
there.
man. I love just seeing it. They feel like each episode of The Mandalorian so far has felt like a mini movie. It's
Hmm.
really good quality. It's I actually like it more than the movies, because it has a lot more real stuff. Like the explosions look real, the costumes look real, the creatures look real. Even in the movies, they have a lot more CG that looks kind of funny. They have CG in this too, and it actually looks really good too. Like the Massips in the first episode
Oh
with the
yeah.
Tuskens, they look really good. Like even the Crate Dragon, it's pretty like cinematic. It's really good.
Oh, absolutely. Um, there's just a lot of stuff that they've been doing a lot more in the TV shows that they can't do in the movies, and I think with the movies they're a lot more focused on delivering an adventure that can really pull people in. But with the TV show, they're able to kind of like really focus on minor details.
When
And
you when you saw the bar scene when the Mon Cala bartender connected him with the Quarren, did you think that they were going to be bad guys, or did you think they were actually going to take him to his people?
I actually thought he was going to take him to the people.
I did too.
At
I
the
totally did too.
at this point, I actually was like, okay, Mon Calamari, bartender, seems like a nice guy, so he's not going to hook him up with somebody that's going to take him out for uh, a swim in the ocean with a
Well,
monster. But
it's
just kind of
it's it's funny, because the second time I watched it, it was so obvious. I'm like, I can't believe to see this. The guy's like, yeah, I could take to him, but it'll cost you. He's like, like evil laugh. It's it's like obvious
yeah.
that he's gonna screw him over. But the first time I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, these are nice guys. They're gonna take him over there, and it totally shocked me. And they're just like, bam, just kick Baby Yoda right into the Malmacore monster.
Yeah, they didn't even
That
care
was
about the child. They were just
yeah.
like, we want your Beskar armor. That's all we really care for. And we
Oh my
tricked you.
gosh. Yeah, that was nuts. And then Jarn, they basically knew Jarn was gonna jump right in there. All they had to do is get Baby Yoda in there. He's gonna follow after him. Then they'll kill him and get the Beskar.
Oh,
Jerks.
absolutely. So I'm noticing that's probably like gonna be the theme for the season, just getting his armor. But
Yeah.
now they're getting a little bit more into the Imperial aspect of it, and so I think the focus will be a little bit more back on the child. I think we might get a little bit more of these pirates trying to steal his
So
armor, but
so what the heck is going on with the Empire right now? So this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Empire's still around. It's just sort of the remnants. Kind of
it's pretty
reminds
much
me of like the Timothy Zahn trilogy when there was still some of the Empire kind of strewn about, and Moff Gideon would be like the Grand Admiral Thrawn, I guess, at this time, since there's no
uh
Vader Emperor.
honestly
What is their deal?
he's not even a Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's just kind of has his own like remnant group. Because if you remember reading in we'll get into this later because we actually have a question on this, but if you read Aftermath, all the Imperial leaders gather together on a planet, and they're all trying to discuss what they're going to do.
Hmm.
And then they had like this mysterious figure on one of the Super Star Destroyers, one of the last ones, and the rebels come to rescue Wedge, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read it, but I just remember that all those Imperial captains, most of them got killed off except for one who made it up to the Super Star Destroyer. And then they're talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna head out into the Outer Rim to meet
Mm-hmm.
up with what we now know that the
Unknown
cloning
regions.
facility of the Emperor. And so at this time, it's just a bunch of remnants. I think Moff Gideon just has his own little
Exegol.
group of remnants. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
he's just doing his own thing. Because he's on his own. He's with his own self-interest right at the moment.
Sure.
So I'm curious of what his actual mission is with the child or what's going on. So that'll be revealed a
That yeah,
lot later.
that.
But
It's sort of obvious that there's a connection with Bo-Katan, obviously with the dark saber. He took over the planet Mandalore. He probably led the attack. He's probably responsible for whatever happened there. We haven't seen exactly what happened there. We know they basically jacked up the planet, and he probably took the lightsaber or the dark saber and stole it from somebody from the planet. She wants it back, and I think there's going to be some beef there between the two of them.
yeah, so for a lot of you guys that are just jumping into Star Wars, not knowing too much about Clone Wars or Rebels, we'll kind of get you guys up to date. The dark saber was an ancient and unique black bladed lightsaber. It's one of a kind. Uh, no one, no other Jedi has ever made it. It was created by Tar Vizsla. He was the first Mandalorian that was ever brought into the Jedi Order. So, jumping ahead a little bit, that dark saber was kept in the Jedi Temple after Tar Vizsla passed away, but
Hmm.
the members of his house stole the saber in a conflict with the Jedi during the fall of the Old Republic, and so the dark saber was passed down generation to generation, and up until what we see in the Clone Wars, Pre Vizsla shows up with it, I believe, in the third season,
Hmm.
and he he used it to basically lead a group of people called the Death Watch.
On the moon of
And
Concordia.
Concordia, yeah. And so he was the leader of Concordia up until so he pretty much was the first one that we see in Star Wars that had the lightsaber. So this is kind of the history of it. So Tar Vizsla had it, then the Jedi kept it. House Vizsla came and took it. Then Pre Vizsla is the one that has it, and then Darth Maul kills him for it, or he
Yeah,
didn't kill him for it. He fights to
after they took over Mandalore, right?
yeah, and
Darth
so
Maul showed up.
yeah, and so they were challenged to a duel, and Pre Vizsla accepted because that was the Mandalore way.
Mm-hmm.
And so Darth Maul kills him. Darth Maul becomes the new leader of Mandalore, and then sometime down the line, Maul in Rebels still has it after he goes into hiding after Order 66. He hands it off to Ezra, who gives it to Sabine Wren, who's another Mandalorian. Then, as we go into Rebels, she hands it off to Bo Katan because she recognizes her from Clan Kryze, which is the rightful heir to Mandalore. And so she saw her more fit as a leader than for her own family to run it. And so Bo Katan is the last one that we see with it in Rebels. And then now we see it in Mandalore, Moff
Darth Moff
Gideon.
Gideon.
Yeah.
So there's
Which,
obviously some story gap missing there that we're going to learn.
absolutely. And I'm pretty sure they get it because during the Empire, I'm sure once Mandalore started having those little wars and stuff, uh, Empire's like, no, we're not gonna have this, and so Moff Gideon. I'm assuming we're all assuming right now. Don't take this
Yeah,
for
we don't
as
know.
actual canon. We're assuming Moff Gideon led the attack there and took it from them, and that's why he has it.
Yeah.
And so now we see Bo-Katan, and she wants that saber back. And it's kind of interesting because so we have Mando. He's just chilling in the water, and then we see her. Uh, I think it was Cusker Reeves and Axe Wolves just show up and save him. And so I just thought it was cool because as soon as he gets out of the water, what's the first thing they did? They took their masks off, and I thought that was just funny.
Yeah, he was like, "What the heck? You guys aren't Mandalorians?" That's what I thought was so funny. That had to be one of the funniest moments when he's like, "You guys aren't true Mandalorians. You took the mask off." It's like, dude, this is the heir to freaking Mandalore right here, man.
She's like, correction, I was actually born on Mandalore.
She's like, "This
Uh,
armor's been with me for generations."
3 generations precise. I'm part of Clan Kryze. You should know that name.
Yeah.
Instead, she turns around and she's like, he's one of the children of the Watch. And so, as we kind of mentioned earlier, Pre Vizsla, who was the leader of the Death Watch, um, the Death Watch were essentially a group of Mandalorians. Mandalorians used to be a warrior race. They were proud, strong warriors, and that's why they had that big conflict with the Jedi. Is because they saw the Jedi as a challenge, and I know in the Legends, I don't know if they brought it into the new canon, but that was the reason why the Mandalorians fought the Jedi to begin with. It's because they saw them as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they were doing anything wrong, not that the Jedi were their enemy. They just wanted a challenge because they wanted to test their skills of their
They were
warrior combat.
warmongers. They were
Yeah,
warmongers back in the day.
pretty much. And so by the time we get to Clone Wars, we see that Mandalore becomes a pacifist society, and so that's where Pre Vizsla is like, oh no, we lost our ways. Uh, uh, they're blah blah.
Duchess
It,
Satine, she changed the waves and made it
mm-hmm.
a sovereign planet, which
Yeah,
wasn't the
and
way of Mandalore.
Pre Vizsla saw themselves as strong, feared warriors,
Yeah.
and that they lost a lot of their identity through.
He's he's totally my favorite
Oh,
Clone
dude,
Wars
I love
character.
Pre Vizsla, and which is actually funny because Jon Favreau actually is the one that's basically in charge of the Mandalorian,
And he
and
voiced him.
he voiced Pre Vizsla, the leader
Which
of
is
Death
cool.
Watch.
He also voiced Paz Vizsla in the Mandalorian season 1.
Oh, that's true, he did.
So I thought it was kind of cool connection that Favreau voiced both Vizsla characters that we've seen
Hmm.
so far. I thought that was
And
pretty fitting.
so my speculation is that Mando's group is a remnant of Death Watch. That Death Watch still survives, and I wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
surprised because Jon Favreau, since he played Pre Vizsla, of course he's gonna tie it in somehow.
Yeah, you know what? You're totally right, Mark. Because on the flashback scenes when they rescue Djarin as a child, you actually see the Death Watch logo on their armor on one of their shoulders. You'll
Oh,
see one coming in, and so it's totally the Death Watch that rescues him.
oh, dude, I never noticed that. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out.
yeah.
I never paid attention to that. Um, and so it's just really cool that we get to see a lot of like these Clone Wars references, and just like, so for you guys that are just jumping into Star Wars, that's just a little bit of history on Death Watch. And Bo-Katan herself, she was actually part of Death Watch.
Yeah.
Um, what was her like? So Expat, she was at the beginning of it, or I'm a little iffy on her part. I just know most of her role as she turned from and her taking over Mandalore in Rebels.
Yeah, you're talking about from Clone Wars,
Yeah, her start in
Bo-Katan.
Clone Wars and
Well,
her
she
relation
was
to
part of
Death
the
Watch.
yeah, well, she was part of the Death Watch basically, and when they basically joined with the Hutts and Black Sun, and
Created that
they
whole little crime syndicate.
the Pike Syndicate joined with them. They all kind of joined crime syndicates together, and they took over
But
Mandalore.
most of that didn't happen until I think after Maul took over, though. Maul was the one that
Well,
really reunited all that, wasn't it? Or
yeah.
did
Well,
that happen before?
Maul at this point was working with them, and
Oh,
then
that's right. That's right. He teamed up with
remember,
Pre Vizsla.
well, Pre Vizsla basically screwed him over and made him. Pre Vizsla acted as the hero and made Maul look like the monster who actually took over Mandalore to gain the respect
Oh,
and have
that's
the
right.
people follow him. So Maul was a prisoner along with Savage, um, and basically Darth Maul ended up challenging him to a duel after he got out, and he became leader of the Death Watch. And then Bo-Katan was like, "No, you're not Mandalorian. I'm not following you." And
Especially
then
because he killed her sister, the Duchess
yeah,
Satine.
he killed Duchess Satine. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah, man.
So
There's so
that.
much history in the Clone Wars. I need to rewatch it. It's easy to forget all this stuff. It's so good, dude.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
man, there's a
So that
lot.
was like another reason why she was pissed at him.
Yeah, that was actually a really good scene, like the music and everything. I actually just watched that not too long ago when Maul is basically. It kind of reminded me of, let's say, like in Gladiator, you have the scene where you have the general, the trusted general, and
Hmm.
the once the son of the king become or the son of the emperor becomes emperor when the emperor dies, he's basically turning everybody against him. He's like, all right, kill him. I'm the emperor now, and they kind of have to do it, and that's kind of like Bo-Katan when Darth Maul became the leader. She's like, I'm not following you, and then Darth Maul's like, go kill her, take her out. I'm the leader now, and you could tell people are like, crap, I don't want to do this, but I have to. He's the leader, and there was a couple followers with Bo-Katan, and they all kind of flew out the window and they took off, and they end up they end up getting in prison, and later she gets out, and then the whole Rebel story happens, which you're a lot more familiar with Rebels.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where the dark saber comes into play, like during the whole Rebels series, because they ended up going back to Mandalore because Ezra gives the dark saber back to Sabine,
Yeah,
and so it kind of like reunites her with her clan because she was kind of looked down upon, and she kind of left
that's
her
right. I
family
remember that. She goes
because
back
she
to her
created
mom's. Yeah.
because she created a machine that would be able to kill her own people, would be able
Mm.
to pierce Mandalorian armor. And so she became kind of her own exile. So once she gets the saber, she's like, okay, I got to return this back. And so they get down there. They find out I think it was her mom that was captured. And so they go to rescue her mom, and Bo-Katan teams up with them to kind of help. And so Bo-Katan started off with the whole warrior idea of the heritage of Mandalorian. They kind of like changed her ways a little bit. And so
Yeah, and then
through that
then
whole
they kind of
thing,
go back to they kind of go back to right having the leader of Mandalore having the black saber. It becomes a general thing.
yeah, and that was the whole thing. Is like she's like, oh, because I think Sabine recognized it and knew the history of it, and
Yeah.
so she headed back to Mandalore to rule it. But Bo-Katan shows up, and she's like, oh no, it's like you're more worthy to hold this than I am. You're part of Clan Kryze,
Dang.
and so ends up by the end of that whole story arc, she gives the dark saber to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan takes the leadership of Mandalore, and
Which
then
is why the
Sabine ends.
episode's called The Heiress.
Because she's the heir to the throne. And so Sabine stays back, and that whole season, oh my gosh, that whole season of Rebels. If you guys haven't seen Rebels, go
Is that the
take a look
fourth?
because
Was that the fourth season?
that was the fourth season, yeah. Because
Yeah, I've only
Sabine
watched
stays on
Rebels.
Mandalore.
I've watched Rebels all the way through
Yeah,
once, so you're kind of refreshing my memory as you're talking about this. It makes me want to go back and watch it.
yeah. And so Sabine stays on Mandalore, and then the events of season 4 happen. She comes and helps, and Bo-Katan makes a entrance, and so now we get to see Bo-Katan again here in The Mandalorian because she's looking for that dark saber that Moff Gideon has, and so that comes to like the whole premise of this whole episode is they're attacking an Imperial freighter, and cool fun fact on that is that Imperial freighter first appeared in Rebels, and so this is the first time that we see it live action.
That's what's so cool about this show in particular is we're seeing Dave Filoni's universe mesh with Lucas's universe. It's so cool to see these animated versions of characters that weren't actually in the movies come to real life, and then you just mess with Lucas's creation. It's really cool to
Well,
see the whole.
Lucas actually didn't really have much of a say on Rebels. Most of his
Yeah.
stuff was Clone Wars. I think
Well,
Disney had control of Rebels.
I meant regarding just like some of the animated stuff, like Clone
Oh
Wars. Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
like Bo-Katan was a Clone Wars character originally. How
Oh
she went
yeah,
into
yeah. You're
Rebels,
right. You're right. Yeah,
and then
that's right.
it's just cool to see this stuff, man. Like it's awesome. Seeing Ahsoka Tano and then whatever episode she shows up in later is going to be insane.
Oh, absolutely.
I really hope they don't screw her up.
Just like I really liked how they like this whole episode actually kind of felt like a Clone Wars. Like when the Mandalorians show up, Bo-Katan and her crew, they show up. They're like fighting so agile. Like what is it? Reeves. She jumps up, has
Yeah,
her jetpack working, does like a little spin kick, and then lands.
that was awesome. Yeah,
Uh,
when they were rescuing the Djarin
like
and
the
the
whole
Brave or the
choreography.
shipboat thing.
And then Mando's like, yeah, it's like, you guys are Mandalorian. So he takes off, and then he's walking down an alley. They're like, oh, you killed my brother. And then it's like, oh, actually, no, we did. And they just show up. He's like, what? And then ruthless. They just pull out their guns and start shooting like a
Oh
massacre
yeah,
in
I
that
love
alley.
that scene. He
That
didn't
scene
kill your
was
brother. I did.
boom,
Bam.
boom, 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 boom.
That was
Just
so
lights
good.
up that whole alleyway. And Mando's like, all right. He's
He's
like,
like,
all right,
no, you
let's go
guys
get a
for a bet.
drink. Yeah, let's go for a drink and we'll talk. And so then they recruit him for a heist.
Wasn't it cool to see Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan being the voice for Bo-Katan for Clone Wars and Rebels? It's just
That's
cool
what I
that they
really
used
liked
the
about
same
it.
actress. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people. They're talking about like her hair, and they're like, "Oh, it looked really weird. It looked like it was off." It's like, I mean, yeah, I mean, it worked. I thought it worked, but I
I
can
thought
see
it
what they're
worked.
talking about because
It's
they're
just
trying
because
to mimic the animated
we're so
version.
used to the animated character, but I thought
Yeah,
it was really appropriate that they used the actress because the actress is a good actress. You could play the
and she looks
character.
like her.
And she, yeah, I thought it was awesome. I don't think it could have been any better. I was completely happy with it.
Oh,
This episode, man.
oh yeah, this episode was insane. And so, what do you think of the whole heist? I thought like their whole introduction, like I actually thought like one of the pieces on their armor was pretty dope. It was their little assassin blade that came
Yeah,
out
yeah,
on
like they kind of had
the
that reverse
wrist.
dagger style too, like when she was like stabbing. It was really cool. I like the stormtroopers again. Just seeing them in this show in general is really cool. But I like seeing them all flying with their jetpacks and the choreography, the use of how Jaren did the whole bravery thing when he's like, "All right, guys, I got this."
Just
Actually,
to give me cover.
my favorite, I think my favorite was though when they were in they're like, "Okay, we're in the cargo hold," and the guy's like, "Okay, yeah." He's like, "Wait, where?" And then, or they're in the cargo hold, and then there's like, bam! They all go flying out the
Oh my
back. That was
gosh, it just shows how stupid the Imperials are.
it
Especially
was yeah.
Vader would be so
I
disappointed.
I did feel really bad though for those two pilots when Moff Gideon's like, you know what to do. Long live the Empire. And then the guy just looked freaking terrified and he's just like, bam, just kills him. That was messed up. It's like, nope,
Yeah,
you don't get
you know what was going down after that.
yeah, I felt bad for him. But it was awesome. I mean, I don't know what to say about it, but the choreography, the fighting, it was great. I love how real it all looks. It's
Well,
so I don't know. It's really I
it's
love
just
how like one thing I loved about Empire was when they shoot the stormtroopers, you'll see it kind of glowing their chest, and you'll see like sparks or smoke, and they're using that a lot in the show. That
yeah.
effect in their armor when they get shot with bolts, with laser bolts. It's just really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was the first thing they do is just take the blade and just like stab that one stormtrooper a couple times right in the throat, and
Oh
then
yeah, jeez.
and then they're like, "Oh, it's the pirates again. I think they're on board." And then on the front of the
The
windshield, you
same
see this
pirates.
trooper. You see this trooper just land on the windshield and just like flies off. They're just like, "What the heck is going on out over there?"
He's
And
like,
the
we're being
Imperials
attacked
are
by
like,
pirates, and they're like, he's like, are these the same pirates that have attacked our other vessels?
"I think so. How many are there? I think there's at least 10 of them."
It's actually four. That's
But
funny.
they fight so efficiently, and that's one of the things I like is that they really go into how fierce Mandalorians are, especially like real
Yeah.
Mandalorians.
Well, it
And
makes me. Sorry, go ahead. I'm interrupting you.
no, you're fine. Uh, it just kind of shows that Bo-Katan still holds on to the warrior ways. Like she was trained as a
Yeah.
warrior, and
Yeah. No,
she's
they did a good job at her just being a badass. Like she totally sold me.
oh yeah. So I'm really glad that they brought her into it because it's going to add a lot more depth to the whole story of the show.
Well, seeing all the choreography in the show, just the fighting, makes me really pumped to see if hopefully she gets the black saber. I want to see a lightsaber fight in one of these Mandalorian shows. I want to see Ahsoka with her white lightsabers fighting either if it's gonna be Moff Gideon or Bo-Katan, whoever. I want to see the black saber versus the two white lightsabers. I think
Yeah,
that'd be
that was one of my theories. Is like I think that's how the season's gonna end. I think because after they take over the ship, like Mando's like completely confused. He thought they're just
yeah. He
going
didn't
there to
like it.
grab
He's
a
like,
couple
that wasn't
stuff.
part of the deal.
They're like, oh yeah, we're taking the whole ship, and they're like, what? And she's like, make some tea. We'll be up soon. And
This
Mando's
is
like,
the
hey,
way.
that wasn't part of the deal. That wasn't part of the deal. And then she mocks him by saying, this is the way. And he's like,
Because
fuck.
she was part of the Death Watch, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like she's kind of mocking him because she knows she's been there. She's
Yeah.
been a part of his clan.
And so then the ship is going down. I just thought it was really cool how they're going up to the bridge. They're just trying to rush to it. They're like, oh my gosh, the ship's going down. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. She's like, nah, we're going to
Oh
do it.
yeah, that was really cool.
I thought that whole sequence was pretty cool.
That was great.
And
As he
then
runs
once,
in and grabs the commander. Where's the dark saber? That was good.
even if I knew where it was, blah, blah, blah. And then,
She's like, let me know where it's at, and I won't kill you. And he's like, no, but he will kill me.
yeah,
That's good.
absolutely. And then they take control of the ship, and then they turn around and say, okay, all right, well, we'll give you the part of it. We'll fulfill our end of the bargain. Um, you're gonna go seek out Ahsoka Tano, which I started freaking out when I heard that.
That was nuts.
And
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh.
you're gonna find her on the foundlings. Take the foundling to the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus.
Is Corvus a planet we've seen before?
I don't think so. Oh, it might not in the movies or the shows. Um, no, we haven't seen it at all. Not yet. It's a new planet. Um, the first time I heard the name Corvus, I think was Vader Immortal, but it was a character's name Corvus on Mustafar. And so now that we know Ahsoka's in it, that's where my theory was going. Was I I have a feeling that we're gonna see Ahsoka Tano fight Moff Gideon with that lightsaber.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. The two white lightsabers versus the black lightsaber.
That'd be freaking cool to see a
The dark
lightsaber
saber,
done
buddy.
on an actual like TV show, rather than a
Well, that's
movie.
what I'm saying. Like looking at these fights, the way they're done and how good they look. Think about how good a lightsaber fight would look. The two with fighting with two. I hope they train Rosario Dawson well, man. Get her on board.
If
She's
the
done
rumors are
action
correct,
scenes.
yeah, absolutely.
If the
And
rumors are correct, right?
yeah,
Is it so? Is that not even confirmed that Rosario Dawson's playing the character?
I don't know. I could have missed it, and they confirmed it. But so far, every other rumor has been true with everybody that's appeared so far.
Well, you know what's funny is, I thought that rumor was stronger than Katie Sackhoff returning as Bo-Katan.
That's true.
When I saw her, that kind of surprised me because I knew it was a rumor, but I didn't hear much about it as much as the Rosario Dawson rumor playing Ahsoka Tano. And I saw her and I was like, holy crap, we're definitely seeing Ahsoka Tano if we're seeing her. And we might see Satine. Well, or not Satine, Sabine.
I would assume
Sabine
Sabine
Wren.
because, again, it's going back into like the whole Rebels timeline. Like if anybody that's familiar with it, and even for those that aren't familiar with it, at the end of Rebels, spoiler alert for you guys that are gonna go back and watch it, but Ezra is on one of the Imperial ships with Grand Admiral Thrawn, and there's this hyperspace whale that is surrounding them. Ezra has a way to commune with creatures through the Force and be able to connect with them, and so he uses them to pull them into hyperspace, and nobody knows where they went.
Yeah.
And so at the end of Rebels, Sabine and Ahsoka, they're standing in front of a mural, and right after the second Death Star is destroyed, and Sabine's like, "It's time for us to go look for Ezra." And so from the end of Return of the Jedi up until I don't know when, but I assume that they're still on the search for Ezra at this point. And so if Ahsoka's in it,
Then there's Sabine Wren.
I'm expecting to see Sabine.
Yeah. So wait, from what you're going at, Ezra could even show up.
I don't think he'll.
that'd be such like it'd be a real curveball, and it might mess. I don't know. I think that could happen in the future. I don't think it'll happen in this line, but the possibility's there.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna show up this season, but Rahul Kohli, yeah, he's a British actor. He's been teasing on his Twitter saying, "Oh, I'm starting to work out. I'm trying to get into that Ezra Bridger kind of shape," and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, he's gonna play Ezra!" Like he looks like he could play him, and then he had to dispel it because I mean,
He was just talking about
even if it
General
was
Orko.
true, yeah, and even if it is true, he kind of let a spoiler, so he can't really reveal it anyway. So he's like, "Oh
Well,
guys, I'm sorry, I was just kidding. I'm just a fan of the show, blah blah blah," and he's done a couple other teasing things that are getting people really suspicious, trying to find out if he's just trying to throw us off the trail or if
well,
he's actually not playing the character. I don't know.
the cool thing about this timeline is anything is possible at this point. You could even have somehow a cameo of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, Chewie. Like all these characters are out there right now. You
Pretty
can even
much,
see
yeah.
you might even see a baby. Well, I guess Kylo Ren was what 29,
Yeah, so he's
and
like 5 or wait, no,
he's
29. So this 5 years,
so
so
he's
he's
like
about
yeah
3 or 4 at this point.
yeah. So that would be hilarious if we saw baby
Baby
Ben.
Kylo Ren. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
baby Ben Solo.
baby Ben Solo. Oh, we should
You
kill
could
him all.
easy. Hey, you could see Chewie. That'd be an easy cameo to do.
Oh, easy, easy.
3PO,
You could
R2, they
have,
could
you could
show
have,
up.
yeah, you could have like 3PO, R2, and Chewbacca just watching over Ben Solo as a child.
What about Rex? You think? I know we're not playing
I,
speculation on this, but what if they have Rex, man?
I'm expecting him to be dead by this point because of his accelerated
Oh
aging.
yeah.
Like
Well,
even
He was in the Battle of Return. He was in the Battle of
and
Endor, which was just 5 years before.
which is true, but they age faster. 5 years could be a huge play, and
Sure.
uh, I'm actually thinking Return of the Jedi was pushing it for his lifeline.
Yeah. He was
Like
an old fogey at that point.
yeah, because he's pretty old in Rebels, and by the Return of the Jedi, I'd imagine he's on his way out. Like he's
Yeah.
barely, he's on his last like fighting breath.
Which sort of confirms that that was Boba Fett at the end of the first episode because
Oh, absolutely,
he looks he's the rightful age and just all the connections.
yeah. Which I think that could be it.
And
Um,
so Ahsoka Tano, how cool would it be, or do you think it'd be awkward? You tell me. If it is played by if she is played by Rosario Dawson, but actually voiced by Ashley Eckstein, sort of like in Solo, how we had Ray Park play Darth Maul, but Sam Witwer still voiced him.
well, I would be saying that Rosario Dawson's a little bit of a bigger actor. That I think they wouldn't do that to her.
Okay.
As much as I love Ashley
I think
Eckstein,
it'd be
her
cool still.
voices.
I think it would be cool. I think it'd be cool. I know she's older though, so Rosario Dawson's real voice would probably still be appropriate.
Yeah.
But Ashley Eckstein playing or voicing Ahsoka would be really, really cool.
Oh,
It'd be
absolutely.
really
Just because
awesome.
that's what, just being like a fan of the Clone Wars, like knowing Ahsoka all through the Clone Wars and into Rebels up in this point, her voice is like very uh, ingrained into my thoughts of Ahsoka. So whenever I think of Ahsoka, I can hear her voice immediately right now.
Well,
So it'd
it'd
be
be
weird
cool
to
to
kind of
see.
see.
It'd be cool to hear more of her thoughts on the whole thing with Anakin and Vader and
Yeah, I'm not sure how
uh,
much. I'm not sure how much history we're gonna get on her thoughts.
just a couple mentions, just
Yeah,
somehow in their conversations or however they
I
work
think
the
it'd be really
character.
cool. I do think it'd be really cool. I would like to hear more of how Anakin dying and then her finding out that he's Vader and I mean we kind of get that in Rebels.
We totally do, but it'd be really cool to get like a personal
Thought
conversation.
on his redemption and just kind
Yeah,
of mentions it like Vader. Vader was redeemed by his son Luke Skywalker. I would like to see her thoughts on Luke
yeah.
and what's going on there. If she's
She
met
can
with
meet
him, or
she can meet Luke Skywalker.
if she's just kind of stayed on the sidelines and hasn't even come back yet.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. So he's gonna be bringing the child over to her, and it's gonna be a lot of crazy stuff going on there.
So do you think this next episode, on your predictions, do you think we'll meet Ahsoka on episode 4? Or do you think they'll hold off and do another
No, I
side
know
mission?
it's already gonna be another side mission because Cara Dune and Greek Karga are gonna be showing up
Sure.
so it's gonna be
Do you
another
think
side.
you think that'll
I
be
don't think they're
first,
gonna
or do you
jump
think
right
they'll
into it.
have the Ahsoka stuff and then the whole Grief Karga?
I don't think he can make the attempt there yet because the ship is still like really destroyed. Like he got to the Mon Calamari and he's like, I gave you 1,000 credits. This is the best you could do, and his ship was still in pretty much a piece of junk
Well,
at
the
that
question
point.
is, how far away is he from Navarro, where supposedly Cara Dune and Grief Karga are?
I don't know, but I just know Dave Filoni is going to be doing the 5th episode, so it would make more
Okay.
sense for her to show up in a Dave
In the
Filoni
5th
directed.
episode, yeah, you're
It's
right.
one done by Dave Filoni.
I was just wondering. I was wondering if they're going to use that as the climax of the episode, or if Ahsoka will be a part of the season shortly, have an awesome cameo, and then they move on, and then Bo-Katan, and they all kind of reunite with Cara Dune, and they all kind of have a fight against Moff Gideon, or if Ahsoka will be a part of it. I'm really curious to see who's all together
Oh,
in the end.
absolutely.
I really hope they're all together, including Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
Or what if she pulls a Luke and a Yoda and or an Obi-Wan and stays kind of isolated, doesn't really want much to do with what's on the outside.
I mean,
And
we
then
already know that she doesn't because
yeah. Well, what if they go on
I
with the mission and then she has an epic
I feel like
confrontation?
if they haven't found Ezra at this point, I feel like her commitment's there.
Yeah.
So I don't think the child's going to be left with her, because that'd be pretty much the whole point of him
So,
going to Ahsoka.
do you think it'll be sort of like a Luke thing where they'll meet her, they'll talk with her, she won't budge
She'd be like,
really,
I'm not a Jedi, so
and then he's gonna kind of have to move on.
yeah.
And then
And then
Bo-Katan, I guarantee Bo-Katan for sure, and the rest of the party, Axe Woves, Casca Reeves, and whoever else they have, I feel like might actually reunite at the end of the show.
oh yeah, I'm
Season.
expecting to see Bo-Katan and her crew again,
Which is fine because
this
she's
season.
perfectly cool.
Oh yeah,
She's awesome.
I'm expecting that we will see Ahsoka at least twice.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how much Dave Filoni really wants to pull her character into this. I mean,
I think it's a good prediction though, Mark.
oh, absolutely.
I think episode 5 will be our episode with her.
Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And then I'm hearing Jar Jar Binks is supposed to be in here somehow. I'm at best at it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be upset about that, but we
He
do
could
know at
show
this
up, man.
point. But at this point, we do know that Jar Jar's a hated person in all the galaxy because they recognize him as giving emergency powers to Palpatine.
That's what I'm saying. That would be hilarious if they go to Naboo and they see him as a street clown.
And he's sitting there juggling.
Like an aftermath. Oh man.
And everybody's treating him. No, I wouldn't want to see that because Jar Jar gets a lot of hate, and if we see him on screen being treated terribly, I'm not gonna lie, I'd have pity for him.
Well, what if they redeem him? What if they?
I'm not sure the timeline I'm not sure the timeline of Aftermath, the book series. So I'm not exactly sure how far along that is, because if Jar Jar's cameo in Aftermath is after the Mandalorian, then it wouldn't make much sense for him to be redeemed at that point, because then he's still treated terribly.
Yeah.
So I'd have to look at the timeline to see if it would work or not. But that would be cool to see him get some kind of redemption. But
do you think they'll have any references in the show in the future about First Order or Resistance scenes of those, or do you think they'll just kind of wipe those out completely?
I think it's heavily focused on the Empire at this point. There might be some indications, some hints, maybe some Easter eggs for the future of what's going to happen in 25 years from this point. But I don't even think Moff Gideon knows too much about it. I think he has something to do with the child, and I'm not exactly sure what's going to be happening there. It's kind of so it gives us like a lot of speculation of what's going on, but we're not going to know much until the next couple of episodes. So I'm really excited for those.
There's a lot to look forward to.
So it's just kind of fitting that they just kind of show him in his beat up ship, just traveling to the next point.
At this point, we've seen the trailer. We've seen the trailers for Mandalorian season 2. What have they not shown that we've seen in the trailers? Can you think of anything off the top of your head?
The speeder bike chase. So that's
yes, and the scenes with Cara Dune and Greef Karga when they're together with Mando.
Which I'm assuming is probably gonna be either the next episode, or it might be episode 6 or 7.
That's right. I forgot about the speeder chase with the scout trooper. That's gonna be good.
When I saw the trailer, that was one of the scenes that got me really excited for the season. It's like, oh man, I'm really excited to see that little chase scene on the speeder bikes.
Well, so far this season I've enjoyed even more than the first season. Even the second episode, I've heard some flack on the second episode. I thought it was okay the first time I saw it, but I've seen it 3 times now, and I've enjoyed it more and more. I really like those X-wing pilots. They're awesome.
Yeah,
I like that.
They were really cool.
The fight in the clouds, the first episode, the whole Western feel, and then this episode is just like the icing on the cake. I'm really loving the season so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, a lot to look forward to. A lot more discussion to go on.
Absolutely.
Um, so before we end our discussion for tonight, we are actually going to be starting a little question section for our transmissions. So we're going to check the HoloNet now for any messages from you guys, which we have a couple. The first one that's popping up is Justin Wilner from Instagram. He asks us, who's the head of command for the Empire in Mandalorian since the Empire has fallen? So we kind of discussed it a little bit. We want to say Moff Gideon, just because he's kind of like the focus of Mandalorian. He's the leader of the remnant group that we see, as far as I know. But there's several different remnant factions. And what was that guy? What's his name? The guy from the first season that gave him the mission to begin with. Did he? I don't remember. Did he die?
He
or?
didn't. No, he didn't die. As far as I know,
I'm wondering
he was. You saw him on the back streets. You saw him on the back streets, kind of have a conversation with the scientist guy.
That's right. And so I'm wondering if he's the one that's in command or if it's Moff Gideon.
I'm pretty sure Moff Gideon's above him for sure, because I'm sure he's some sort of admiral or ex-admiral, and Moff Gideon's obviously a Moff. So I'm just thinking of he'd be like a Tarkin. The question is there like there's obviously no Vader or Emperor figure out there as far as we know.
Yeah.
At this point, we don't actually know a lot of the history between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Just what we get from Aftermath, and we can already discuss what we know from that.
Yeah.
And how it connects to this at this point.
Sure.
So that's our take on it. Hopefully we give you a good answer. Hopefully you listen to the whole podcast, or if not, you have to scrub a little backwards and see if you can find it. But I recommend listen to our whole thing. We got some good discussion here. Yeah. The next question that we see on the HoloNet is from Jaboy Leo. He asked us favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
By far for me, Empire.
I'm gonna have to say Return of the Jedi right now. It depends on my mood.
Yeah, I was gonna say it changes a lot.
Oh my god! Right now I like Return of the Jedi because I just love the climax lightsaber fight between Vader and Luke. One of my favorite scenes in the entire Star Wars saga, the entire Skywalker saga, is when Luke's hiding from Vader and he won't fight him, and Vader senses his thoughts and says, sister, so you have a twin sister, feelings, have now betrayed her too, and if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will, and never. And he gets up and starts fighting her, and they got this awesome climax John Williams score, and he's fighting her, and he's like fighting for family, fighting for good. It's just the emotions of that scene is just absolutely powerful. And then of course the space battle in Return of the Jedi is my favorite space battle. Love that space battle.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
How can they be jamming us if they don't know that we're coming?
She raised a lot of good points. I really like those parts in the film.
Right now, my favorite.
Yeah, there's just a lot of good scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my buddy was asking me the other day because he's looking for a new art project. He's like, "Oh, what's your favorite scene in Star Wars?" And I gave him the Bespin fight between Luke and Vader, and then the other one was the battle between Luke and Vader and Return of the Jedi. Both scenes I thought were just magnificent. So,
that's a hard question. You said favorite scene in a Star Wars movie?
No. I'm just talking like why I like those two films.
Oh, okay. I thought someone asked what's your favorite scene. That would be a good one.
No.
My gosh.
No. That is a question, but we'll get that on our next one.
Cool.
So that's it for tonight, guys. So be sure to follow us on all of our social media. Links are down below in the description. Also, with the holidays coming around, we have some cool merch for you guys to check out. Some awesome shirts that you can wear to show your love for Star Wars. So be sure to take a look at the bottom. Be sure to subscribe to us so you don't miss one of our transmissions. And we look forward to discussing the next episode of The Mandalorian. Echo 2 out.
Echo 5 out. May the Force be with you, everybody.
Always.